Okay, welcome to this new video. Today I'm going to be showing you how to use Twinmotion. So when you create a new scene, you have this base interface. Um, so on the left, you have your library. So this is where you can find your materials, your vegetation, various other things. If you hover over one of the icons, it will say a bit more about what that specific library category does. A thing to note, whenever a blue icon or something is blue, as you see, scene, properties, ambience, and the move button, that means that that is currently selected. So if I were to click library, it would minimize that window. If I click library, maximize it. Same with stats. This is quite important to have. This is in one of the newer Twinmotion applications, so the 2024 version. It just kind of shows how much your GPU or CPU is being used. You have your import button. So if you were to import something, you can have your geometry, the direct link, animation, landscape, point clouds. I'll show that in another tutorial. Materials. So when you do apply materials to a surface, you can edit them, populate something. You can place paths, urban. Urban's quite useful. I'll show that in a future tutorial. And then you have media, so creating images, videos, sequences, panorama sets, presentations, and phasing groups. Again, I'll show this in a future tutorial. One of the most important things is your export. So when you do create an image, it will pop up here as a selection, same with video, save into the cloud, and then you click Start Export. Some more things to note. On the left here is your scene. So this is what is going on within this world of Twinmotion. So for now, I just have the starting ground. And when you click on a specific scene, material or object, you'll see this orange band be created around it. If I just fly up, you can see it's there. And if I were to click on it and press delete, that would vanish. Don't worry. The same with all other programs. Control Z just brings that back. And Control Y will technically redo. So the ones to note, Control Z and Control Y. And similar with the landscape. So you can see if I deleted that, the landscape's then gone. And if we deleted the whole scene graph, if we deleted the starting ground, starting base, you're just left with this blank canvas. I always think it's really good to start with a starting ground, just as a reference point for your axes, so your X, Y, and your Z, to understand in terms of objects. If I were to put a 10-meter box here, I can fix it to this plane, so it will stay along this plane. The problem is if I don't have that starting ground, that reference point is then no longer valid. So it's just quite useful to keep that there. Another thing to note is your ambience. So if I just bring this slider up. So ambience is your weather, your time of day, the lighting. This is one of the key things for architectural visualizations. So for example, it all works in a slider. So left click and drag, and you can see the shadow around that box changing. You can go there. If you click into details, this gets a little bit more complicated. I will go into this in a future video in terms of sun intensity. They all have their own categories. So sun size. In terms of this scale, it doesn't really matter. But if you were to have the sun in one of the visualizations, it's quite important. The moon, and you wanted moon to be a bit bigger. The moon intensity. You can have more stars if you wanted. So it's really something that you just have to kind of play around with. And again, it's subjective to your preference. Ambient with the moon. I'll just set it back to the middle of the day. And again, with the Control Zs, you can take these back to their original values, which is really important. And then in terms of weather, so this is creating cloud cover. And when I come here and then creating rain and then back to sun. So you have this range. Um, Twinmotion is really good for simplistic icons to understand what each feature does. So this is a snow plane now, kind of desert scene, but I can take it back to that lovely sun that we all love. Um, Height of the fog. This is really good for ambient visualizations, not necessarily architectural, but whether you're doing game development, general renderings for personal projects, um, product design, product visualization, the fog is really good for ambient lighting. Precipitation. This is something that is subjective to how powerful your computer is. So if I were to take it back to the raining weather, uh, and if I clicked off precipitation, you can see the rain stops, but the puddles are still there. So this is where you can kind of play around with the surface effects, with wetness, puddle size. You can offset where that rain goes. Um, and again, with weather conditions, your wind speeds, vegetation growth. I'll show you quickly what vegetation growth would look like. So I can bring in that tree, go back to ambience, vegetation growth, and you can see how in live time that is affecting how that tree is growing. Another important thing to note, especially if you're doing architectural projects, is the sun position. If you have a pre-existing site and you know the orientation of north, it's important to note that. So you can set north roughly to where you'd like, and then subjective to that north point, your sun rotation of your direct sun hours will be affected by that. A really interesting tool that I found as well is the ability to move this location to wherever you want. You know, whether you be in Spain or France, it can go quite literally anywhere. And then you can change your month subjective to what that time frame period is. And then you've got your HD environments. This is something I don't personally like too much. I find that it can mess with the visualization a bit too much. And now, then you have horizon. So this is where you can put a city skyline in the back if you wanted. You can rotate that image to however you like. And if you click here, you can have these different options of a countryside, mountains, town, a European city. Again, I think you can import your own image. I'll go into that into the latest tutorial. Let me just click enable. Ocean, not too important unless you're trying to create a water scene or a flooding simulation. But as you can see, you can change the heights of the water, which is quite a useful tool. And it has that same effect, so it has a real-time effect. So if you were to try to create a video of something going underwater and coming back up, that camera lens can get misted and apply a blur. And then the river, you know, this is all subjective to your personal preference, the Atlantic Ocean. But it's really interesting that you can create these scenes with just ambience without having to import anything personally. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. In future videos, I'll be going into a bit more about camera, effects, rendering, and special effects, a little bit more about object placement, architectural visualization, and general importing queries that I know I personally had as a student. So make sure you subscribe, like the video, leave a comment if you have any questions, and thank you for watching. Bye.